The basement laundry facility at Naval Station Norfolk hummed with the steady rhythm of 8 industrial washing machines at 0615 hours on a Tuesday morning in March. Steam rose from the commercial dryers as they tumbled loads of Navy utilities, and the air carried the sharp scent of military-grade detergent mixed with fabric softener. In this sterile, fluorescent-lit world beneath the administrative buildings, civilian contractor Maria Elena Rodriguez moved through her morning routine with quiet efficiency. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Commander Blake Harrison Matthews paused at the bottom of the concrete stairwell, his hand resting on the cold metal railing as he descended toward the facility's main floor. He had taken this route dozens of times before, a shortcut between the intelligence briefing rooms and the communications center that shaved 3 minutes off his usual path. The sound that stopped him mid-step wasn't the mechanical noise of laundry equipment or the hiss of steam vents, but something far more unsettling. A woman's voice, soft and melodic, was humming a tune that made his blood run cold. The melody drifted through the thick concrete walls with crystalline clarity, each note perfectly placed, each pause precisely timed. It was a song that existed in the memory of exactly 14 people on Earth, an operational cadence developed by his SEAL team during their deployment to the Horn of Africa 18 months earlier. The tune served as more than music. It was a tactical communication protocol, a way to convey specific operational information through seemingly innocent humming during missions where electronic silence was critical. Matthews pressed his back against the stairwell wall, his pulse quickening as recognition flooded through him. The melody wasn't just familiar, it was being performed with the exact tactical emphasis patterns that his team had developed during high-risk infiltration operations. Every modulation carried operational significance. Every rhythm change conveyed tactical information that had been memorized, never written down, never recorded, and certainly never shared outside his classified unit. The implications were staggering. Either someone had achieved impossible access to classified operational protocols, or the woman humming in the laundry facility possessed background knowledge that her employment records didn't reflect. Matthews moved closer to the facility entrance, his training automatically engaging threat assessment protocols. Through the reinforced glass window in the steel door, he could see a petite woman with dark hair pulled back in a regulation bun, methodically folding Navy uniforms at one of 6 long sorting tables. Her movements were systematic and precise, each garment handled with mechanical efficiency that spoke of months of practice and familiarity with military standards. Maria continued her work, completely unaware that her unconscious vocalization had shattered someone's understanding of operational security. The melody that flowed from her lips was muscle memory, surfacing during repetitive tasks when her conscious mind wandered to places she tried to avoid during working hours. It was a remnant from another life, a dangerous slip in the carefully constructed persona she had maintained for nearly 3 years. At 28 years old, Maria had been the night shift laundry supervisor at Norfolk for 14 months, a position that placed her firmly in the category of essential but invisible support personnel. Her domain consisted of the basement facility where she processed thousands of pounds of military clothing, linens, and specialized gear during the quiet hours when most of the base slept. She arrived each evening at 2200 hours and worked alone until 800, methodically cleaning and preparing uniforms that kept the station functioning. To everyone who encountered her, Maria was exactly what her personnel file indicated, a dedicated civilian contractor with an exceptional work ethic and remarkable attention to detail. Her supervisor, Janet Patterson, consistently rated her performance as outstanding, noting her ability to handle complex sorting requirements and her knowledge of proper care procedures for specialized military equipment. Maria could identify fabric types by touch, understood the cleaning protocols for everything from standard utilities to chemical-resistant gear, and maintained equipment with systematic precision that prevented costly breakdowns. What Patterson didn't know, what her background investigation hadn't revealed, and what Maria had carefully concealed for nearly 3 years was that her expertise with military equipment extended far beyond laundry care procedures.
Commander Matthews remained motionless in the stairwell, processing the melody that continued to drift through the walls. The song was from Operation Crimson Tide, a classification level so restricted that even acknowledging its existence constituted a federal crime for unauthorized personnel. His team had developed the specific tune as an identification system during missions where standard communication was impossible. The humming could convey tactical information through rhythm and emphasis patterns that appeared casual to outside observers while transmitting crucial operational data to team members. The possibility that a civilian contractor could know this melody suggested either a catastrophic security breach or the presence of someone whose background was significantly different from their official records. Matthews's 15 years of special operations experience argued for immediate investigation and containment, but his tactical instincts suggested something more complex was developing. The humming wasn't being performed as communication or signal. It was unconscious, natural, the kind of automatic behavior that indicates deep familiarity rather than recent acquisition. Someone who had learned this melody casually or through unauthorized access would be unlikely to reproduce it with such tactical precision during unguarded moments.
Maria moved to a new load of specialized gear, her hands automatically sorting equipment according to care requirements that most contractors learned through extensive training programs. But her speed and accuracy suggested knowledge that went beyond standard instruction. She understood which materials required separate processing, knew the temperature requirements for different types of protective equipment, and could identify chemical residues that other laundry personnel might not recognize. Her work area reflected organizational systems that exceeded standard requirements. Gear was sorted not just by fabric type and color, but by operational significance that shouldn't have been apparent to civilian personnel. Combat uniforms were processed separately from training gear. Equipment from different units was kept strictly segregated. Specialized items were handled with protocols that suggested understanding of their tactical applications rather than just their cleaning requirements. The melody that had captured Matthew's attention was part of a larger collection that Maria carried in her memory. Songs, chants, and tactical calls that surfaced during unguarded moments when repetitive work allowed her mind to drift. She hummed while working because familiar rhythms helped maintain focus during long solitary shifts, never considering that these musical fragments might reveal information about her background that could compromise the carefully constructed identity she had built. Matthews checked his watch. 06:27 hours. The communications center briefing he was scheduled to attend would begin in 18 minutes, but the security implications of what he had discovered demanded immediate attention. The melody was still audible through the concrete walls, performed with continued precision that reinforced his assessment of the singer's familiarity with its tactical significance. As Maria continued her work, the humming gradually faded into the ambient noise of machinery and ventilation systems. But the damage was done. Her carefully maintained invisibility had been compromised by the one thing she couldn't completely control, the muscle memory of who she used to be. The basement laundry facility had always been her sanctuary, a place where she could work alone with equipment and protocols that felt familiar without being threatening. Now, without knowing it, that sanctuary had become the stage for a confrontation between her current identity and her hidden past, triggered by a moment of unconscious vulnerability that would force both her and Commander Matthews to confront questions about identity, capability, and the complex relationship between who someone appears to be and who they actually are. The industrial washing machines continued their steady rhythm, indifferent to the security crisis that had just begun unfolding in their midst. In less than 2 minutes, a simple melody had transformed routine morning operations into the opening move of an investigation that would challenge everything Matthews thought he knew about personnel security and everything Maria had sacrificed to build her new life. 3. Maria Elena Rodriguez had never intended to become invisible. 3 years earlier, she had been Lieutenant Commander Maria Elena Rodriguez, United States Navy intelligence specialist, briefing admirals on Middle Eastern counterterrorism operations and developing threat assessments that influenced policy at the Pentagon.
The transformation from respected officer to overlooked contractor had required careful planning and the kind of identity reconstruction typically reserved for witness protection programs. Her apartment in Virginia Beach reflected the deliberate ordinariness she had cultivated. The two-bedroom unit was furnished with items from discount stores, decorated with generic artwork that suggested no particular interests or sophistication. A small television dominated the living room, surrounded by romance novels and home improvement magazines that supported her cover as someone whose military connection was limited to her current employment. No photographs from her naval service adorned the walls. No awards or commendations gathered dust on shelves. No technical literature suggested specialized knowledge beyond basic contractor requirements. The kitchen contained evidence of simple cooking habits, canned goods, frozen meals, and basic ingredients that painted the picture of someone who worked long hours and preferred convenience over culinary exploration. A single coffee maker and a set of mismatched dishes completed the image of modest living that wouldn't attract attention from neighbors or casual observers. Maria's daily routine reinforced her constructed identity through carefully planned activities that demonstrated civilian normalcy. She shopped at the base commissary like other contractor personnel, purchasing groceries and household items with the methodical efficiency of someone managing a tight budget. Her conversations with cashiers and baggers were friendly but superficial, covering weather, work schedules, and local events without revealing analytical capabilities or specialized knowledge. The local library became her sanctuary for intellectual engagement that couldn't be pursued openly. She browsed fiction sections and checked out romance novels that supported her cover while quietly accessing international news sources and academic journals through public computer terminals. Her reading habits appeared casual to outside observers but served to maintain awareness of global developments that her intelligence background had trained her to monitor. Physical fitness was pursued through membership at a commercial gym off-base, where she maintained conditioning that seemed excessive for support personnel but felt necessary for psychological well-being. Her workout routine appeared to focus on general health rather than tactical preparation, consisting of cardiovascular exercise and light weight training that wouldn't suggest military conditioning. Fellow gym members saw her as dedicated but unremarkable, someone who exercised consistently without displaying unusual strength or specialized techniques.
Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now, back to the story. Commander Blake Harrison Matthews represented everything Maria had once aspired to become in naval service. At 35, he commanded respect throughout Naval Station Norfolk as a decorated SEAL officer whose operational experience spanned 3 combat deployments and countless classified missions. His reputation was built on tactical expertise, leadership under pressure, and an analytical mind that could process complex threat environments with remarkable clarity. Matthews had grown up in small-town Ohio, where his father worked as a machinist and his mother taught elementary school. The values they instilled, hard work, integrity, and service to others, had guided his decision to join the Navy immediately after high school graduation. 17 years later, those same values informed his approach to command and his commitment to the personnel under his leadership. His path to special operations had begun with exceptional performance in basic training, where instructors recognized leadership potential and tactical aptitude that suited him for advanced military occupational specialties. SEAL training had tested every aspect of his physical and mental capabilities, forging him into an operator who thrived under pressure while maintaining situational awareness that kept his teams alive in hostile environments. The Horn of Africa deployment that had produced the melody Maria unconsciously hummed had been Matthews' most challenging command experience. Leading a 14-person SEAL team through 6 months of counterterrorism operations, he had developed innovative tactics and communication protocols that enhanced mission effectiveness while minimizing operational signatures. The specialized melodies and tactical calls his team created had served as life-saving tools during operations where electronic communication could compromise their positions. Matthews' current assignment as intelligence liaison at Norfolk reflected the Navy's recognition of his analytical capabilities and operational experience.
His role involved coordinating between special operations units and fleet intelligence commands, ensuring that tactical requirements were supported by accurate threat assessments and strategic planning. The position required understanding both operational realities and intelligence methodologies, making him uniquely qualified to recognize anomalies in personnel behavior or security protocols. His personal life remained secondary to professional responsibilities, a common sacrifice among special operations personnel whose careers demanded total commitment. A brief marriage during his early naval service had ended when his deployment schedule proved incompatible with family life. Since then, he had focused entirely on military service, finding satisfaction in mission accomplishment and team leadership rather than traditional domestic arrangements. The basement laundry facility where Maria worked represented the intersection of two worlds that rarely acknowledge each other's existence. Above ground, Norfolk bustled with the activities of a major naval installation. Aircraft operations, ship maintenance, training exercises, and administrative functions that supported fleet readiness throughout the Atlantic. Below ground, support personnel like Maria maintained the infrastructure that enabled these operations through quiet, systematic work that kept uniforms clean, equipment functional, and personnel properly supplied. Maria's supervisor, Janet Patterson, embodied the institutional mindset that kept support functions operating efficiently while maintaining clear boundaries between operational and administrative personnel. A former Navy logistics specialist with 21 years of service, Patterson managed contractor personnel with assumptions about their capabilities and backgrounds that reflected decades of experience with civilian employees who required extensive training to handle basic military procedures. Patterson's management style was thorough but distant, focusing on performance metrics and procedural compliance rather than individual development or capability assessment. She evaluated Maria's work based on processing volume, quality standards, and equipment maintenance rather than recognizing the systematic excellence that suggested advanced training or specialized knowledge. The night shift schedule that Maria worked provided both advantages and challenges for maintaining her constructed identity. Working alone from 2200 to 0800 hours minimized social interactions that might reveal inconsistencies in her background, but also created isolation that made psychological adjustment more difficult. The solitary environment allowed her to work efficiently without constant supervision, but provided few opportunities for the intellectual engagement that her intelligence background had accustomed her to expect. During quiet periods between laundry loads, Maria often found herself analyzing patterns in equipment damage, deployment schedules visible through processing volumes, and personnel rotation indicators that created informal intelligence about base operations. These observations were never recorded or shared with anyone, but the analytical habits developed during her intelligence career operated automatically whenever she encountered military activities. The specialized gear that passed through her facility told stories she could read like classified reports. Combat uniforms showed wear patterns that revealed training intensities and operational focus areas. Chemical residues indicated environmental exposures that suggested specific deployment locations. Equipment modifications reflected individual operator preferences that demonstrated specialized capabilities and mission requirements. Matthew's daily routine brought him through the administrative complex where Maria worked, though their paths had never crossed directly before the morning when her unconscious humming shattered his understanding of security protocols. His security clearance provided access to information about base personnel and operations that enabled him to recognize significance in details that other officers might overlook. The professional network that Matthews maintained included intelligence specialists, special operations personnel, and security officers whose expertise complemented his own operational background. These relationships provided resources for investigating security anomalies and assessing potential threats that might affect base operations or personnel safety. His reputation for thoroughness and discretion made him a natural choice for handling sensitive situations that required careful analysis rather than immediate action. Senior officers trusted his judgment about personnel security issues and relied on his recommendations for addressing potential problems before they affected operational effectiveness. The contrast between Maria's carefully constructed ordinariness and Matthew's visible professional accomplishment represented institutional dynamics that kept qualified personnel separated by role assignments rather than capability assessments. Maria's intelligence training and operational experience remained hidden beneath contractor status that prevented recognition of her potential contributions to base effectiveness. Matthew's position provided authority and resources for identifying security concerns, but institutional frameworks limited his awareness of capabilities that existed among support personnel. The system was designed to maintain operational security through compartmentalization that could also prevent optimization of available human resources. The morning routine that had brought them into awareness of each other marked the beginning of a sequence that would challenge both Maria's ability to maintain her constructed identity and Matthew's assumptions about personnel capabilities and verification procedures. The melody that connected them represented knowledge that shouldn't exist outside classified channels, creating a mystery that would require resolution through investigation or confrontation. Neither Maria nor Matthews could have anticipated that a moment of unconscious vulnerability would initiate a process that would transform their understanding of service, identity, and the complex relationship between professional capability and institutional recognition. The foundation had been established for revelations that would test everything they believed about personnel security, career satisfaction, and the hidden potential that exists within seemingly ordinary circumstances. The investigation began 48 hours after the Melody incident with a single phone call to the Naval Criminal Investigative Service field office in Portsmouth. Commander Matthews sat in his secure office on the third floor of Building 1247, staring at the classified contact directory on his computer screen while weighing the implications of what he was about to initiate. NCIS Portsmouth, Special Agent Williams speaking. Agent Williams, this is Commander Matthews at Norfolk. I need to discuss a potential security anomaly that requires discreet investigation.
The conversation that followed established protocols for a preliminary background review of civilian contractor Maria Elena Rodriguez, focusing on employment verification and access patterns rather than full-scale investigation. Matthews emphasized the need for subtlety, understanding that premature action could compromise whatever operational security existed while potentially destroying the career of someone who might have legitimate explanations for their knowledge. Special Agent Rebecca Williams had spent 7 years investigating personnel security cases for NCIs, developing expertise in identifying discrepancies between official records and actual backgrounds. Her initial review of Maria's file revealed standard contractor documentation, employment history, security screening results, and performance evaluations that appeared consistent with civilian support personnel requirements. The first anomaly appeared in her educational background verification. Maria's official transcripts showed a business administration degree from Virginia Commonwealth University. But Williams's investigation revealed academic performance patterns that suggested significantly higher intellectual capabilities than her current position required. Her undergraduate coursework had included advanced mathematics, international relations, and foreign language studies that seemed excessive for someone seeking administrative employment. Williams expanded her investigation to include financial records, discovering that Maria's spending patterns reflected systematic frugality that appeared designed to minimize financial footprints rather than genuine budget constraints. Her bank accounts showed consistent deposits matching her contractor salary, but virtually no unusual expenditures that might indicate outside income or expensive personal interests. The most significant discovery came through employment verification calls to Maria's previous employers. The industrial cleaning company she claimed to have worked for before joining Norfolk confirmed her employment but provided responses that seemed carefully scripted rather than spontaneous. When pressed for specific details about her responsibilities and performance, supervisors offered generic praise that avoided concrete examples or memorable incidents. Meanwhile, Matthews implemented his own observation protocols, modifying his daily routine to include more frequent passage through areas where Maria might be encountered during shift changes or equipment deliveries.
His military training and surveillance techniques allowed him to monitor her activities without creating obvious patterns that might alert her to increased scrutiny. The base security camera system provided additional surveillance opportunities that Matthews accessed through his intelligence liaison authority. Norfolk's comprehensive monitoring network included coverage of common areas, work facilities, and entry points where contractor personnel could be observed during normal activities. Maria's movements through these areas revealed behavioral patterns that differed significantly from other support staff. Her situational awareness exceeded normal civilian levels, demonstrated through positioning choices that optimized observation angles and escape routes. During crowded periods in the base exchange or commissary, Maria consistently selected locations that provided clear sightlines to exits while avoiding positions that limited her mobility. Her interaction with security checkpoints showed familiarity with procedures that suggested extensive previous exposure to military facilities. Most significantly, security footage revealed that Maria moved through base facilities with tactical consciousness that indicated advanced training in threat assessment and environmental awareness that civilian contractors typically wouldn't consider. The audio surveillance capabilities within the laundry facility provided the most valuable intelligence about Maria's background and current activities. Matthews obtained authorization for enhanced monitoring through his security clearance, allowing technical personnel to install improved recording equipment that could capture conversations and vocalizations with greater clarity. The results confirmed his initial assessment while revealing additional classified knowledge that shouldn't exist in civilian memory. Beyond the original operational melody, Maria occasionally hummed fragments of other tactical communications, including radio call signs, emergency signals, and coordination codes that were compartmentalized far above civilian contractor clearance levels. Her unconscious vocalizations included technical terminology in Arabic and Farsi that suggested linguistic training beyond casual academic study. The pronunciation and contextual usage indicated professional-level fluency that would be valuable for intelligence operations but unnecessary for laundry facility management. Senior Chief Petty Officer Thomas Harrison, Matthews's senior enlisted advisor, was briefed on the developing investigation when surveillance revealed additional behavioral anomalies that suggested concealed military background. Harrison's 24 years of naval service had included extensive experience with personnel security assessments, making him qualified to evaluate potential threats and identify personnel with hidden qualifications. Harrison's analysis confirmed Matthews' concerns while adding new dimensions to the investigation. Maria's physical conditioning was maintained at levels that exceeded civilian contractor requirements by significant margins. Casual observation during base gym visits revealed exercise routines that emphasized functional fitness rather than recreational health maintenance, including cardiovascular endurance and strength training that suggested ongoing tactical preparation. Her social interactions demonstrated patterns consistent with operational security consciousness rather than natural civilian behavior. Conversations with other base personnel were systematically limited to superficial topics that avoided personal background or career history. Her relationships remained friendly but distant, preventing the kind of personal connections that might lead to detailed questions about her past. The investigation expanded to include covert monitoring of Maria's off-duty activities, where additional inconsistencies emerged that contradicted her official civilian contractor identity. Her apartment complex was located in an area popular with retired military personnel, but her social activities suggested ongoing professional interests rather than normal recreational pursuits. Surveillance revealed regular visits to the Norfolk Public Library, where she accessed international news sources and academic databases that seemed excessive for civilian contractor interests. Her computer usage included monitoring of Middle Eastern political developments, military affairs journals, and strategic analysis publications that suggested ongoing professional engagement with intelligence-related topics. Her shopping patterns included purchases that supported her cover identity while revealing subtle indicators of specialized knowledge. Grocery selections emphasized nutritional efficiency over convenience, clothing choices prioritized functionality over fashion, and household items reflected systematic organizational preferences that seemed military in origin. The most concerning discovery came through communication monitoring that revealed Maria's awareness of surveillance techniques and operational security procedures that civilian personnel shouldn't possess. Her behavior showed systematic variation designed to prevent pattern establishment, including irregular timing for routine activities and modified routes that avoided predictable surveillance opportunities. Lieutenant Commander Patricia Stone, the base counterintelligence officer, was consulted when the investigation reached the point where specialized assessment was required. Stone's background in personnel security made her responsible for evaluating potential threats posed by individuals with concealed backgrounds or unexplained access to classified information. Stone's analysis of accumulated evidence confirmed that Maria possessed knowledge and capabilities inconsistent with her official background. But the pattern of observed behaviors suggested professional military training rather than hostile intelligence activity. The systematic nature of her operational security consciousness indicated someone with legitimate access to classified information who was attempting to conceal their background rather than someone who had acquired such access through unauthorized means. The investigation timeline became critical when audio surveillance captured Maria providing technical guidance to maintenance personnel during equipment processing activities. Her recommendations included specific procedures for handling chemical residues, temperature requirements for specialized fabrics, and compatibility issues that reflected expert knowledge of operational equipment characteristics that exceeded standard contractor training. When questioned about the source of her expertise, Maria attributed her knowledge to previous industrial cleaning experience and technical training programs. Stone's assessment identified multiple deception indicators in these explanations, including linguistic patterns that suggested military briefing experience rather than civilian employment history, and defensive responses that indicated systematic preparation for such inquiries.
The base personnel office was tasked with conducting enhanced background verification that extended beyond standard contractor screening procedures. This investigation revealed gaps in Maria's employment history that coincided with potential military service periods. Reference contacts who provided coordinated responses rather than spontaneous recollections, and educational achievements that exceeded her stated qualifications for civilian support work. Chief Warrant Officer Marcus Thompson, the base security officer, coordinated expanded surveillance that included monitoring Maria's communications and tracking her movements during off-duty hours. Thompson's investigation revealed contact patterns that suggested ongoing relationships with active-duty military personnel despite her claims of limited military connections beyond her current employment. The expanded surveillance operation created operational security concerns about maintaining investigation secrecy while gathering necessary evidence. Maria's demonstrated awareness of surveillance techniques meant that obvious investigation activities might prompt her to alter her behavior or potentially disappear entirely if she perceived threats to her constructed identity. The investigation required careful balance between evidence gathering and operational security that reflected the complexity of the situation. Maria's knowledge could represent either a security threat that required immediate containment or an operational asset that had been systematically underutilized through institutional oversight. As the investigation progressed, Matthews found himself questioning fundamental assumptions about personnel management and security verification procedures. The possibility that qualified individuals might be working in positions that failed to utilize their capabilities suggested institutional failures that extended beyond individual cases to systemic problems with talent identification and assignment optimization. The evidence was mounting toward a conclusion that would require direct confrontation, but the implications of that confrontation could affect both Maria's carefully constructed civilian life and the base's understanding of its own personnel security effectiveness. The melody that had initiated the investigation was proving to be just the beginning of revelations that would challenge everything Matthews thought he knew about the people who served around him. Maria first noticed the change during her third week of March, a subtle shift in the atmosphere that her intelligence training had conditioned her to recognize as the early stages of scrutiny. It began with small anomalies, maintenance requests that required verification through additional channels, supply deliveries that involved more thorough documentation, and conversations that seemed to end abruptly when she approached.
The base exchange incident on a Thursday afternoon crystallized her growing unease. Maria had stopped during her meal break to purchase replacement work boots, a routine transaction she had completed dozens of times without incident. The cashier, a friendly woman named Dorothy, who typically engaged in casual conversation about weather and work schedules, processed her purchase with professional efficiency but avoided the usual small talk that had characterized their previous interactions. More concerning was the presence of Senior Chief Harrison near the athletic wear section, ostensibly examining running shoes but positioned with clear sight lines to the checkout area. His presence might have been coincidental, but Maria's operational instincts recognized surveillance behavior that suggested professional observation rather than casual shopping. The psychological pressure of unknown scrutiny began affecting Maria's performance in ways that created additional vulnerabilities for investigators to exploit. Her stress responses included increased vigilance that demonstrated counterintelligence awareness, modifications to her routine that suggested operational security consciousness, and communication patterns that avoided topics where she might inadvertently reveal additional classified knowledge. Janet Patterson noticed behavioral changes that seemed inconsistent with normal work stress or personal problems. Maria's interactions with base personnel became more cautious and formal. Her technical comments about equipment care were limited to basic procedures rather than the detailed guidance she had previously provided. And her organizational systems became even more systematically precise, as if she was attempting to demonstrate competence through visible efficiency. The first direct challenge came during a routine equipment inspection when Chief Warrant Officer Thompson appeared in the laundry facility with a checklist that included questions about chemical storage procedures and temperature control protocols. His inquiries seemed focused on technical specifications that exceeded normal safety inspections, particularly regarding specialized gear processing that required knowledge of operational applications rather than basic cleaning requirements. Ms. Rodriguez, can you explain the rationale behind your temperature settings for processing chemical-resistant fabrics? Thompson's question carried authority that suggested official investigation rather than casual oversight. Maria's response reflected careful preparation for such inquiries. Chief, I follow the manufacturer specifications provided in the technical manuals, adjusting for fabric type and contamination level based on the training I received when I started this position. Thompson's follow-up questions revealed sophisticated understanding of equipment capabilities and processing requirements that suggested his inspection was more comprehensive than routine facility oversight. His knowledge of chemical compatibility issues and temperature tolerances indicated preparation that went beyond standard safety protocols. The most dangerous moment came when Thompson observed Maria's handling of specialized diving equipment that required specific decontamination procedures. Her systematic approach to processing reflected an understanding of operational requirements that shouldn't have been apparent to civilian personnel, including knowledge of chemical residue patterns that indicated specific deployment environments. Where did you learn about saltwater corrosion indicators on rebreather components? Thompson's question was delivered with a casual tone that didn't mask its investigative significance. Maria's prepared response attributed her knowledge to technical training programs and manufacturer documentation, but her linguistic patterns included terminology that suggested briefing experience rather than manual study. Thompson's assessment noted multiple indicators that contradicted her explanations about the source of her expertise. The investigation expanded beyond Norfolk when Special Agent Williams discovered connections between Maria's background and classified operations that had occurred during the time of her claimed civilian employment. Database searches revealed travel patterns that coincided with operational deployments, financial transactions that suggested government salary deposits, and medical records that included treatments typically associated with military service rather than civilian employment. Admiral James Morrison, Atlantic Fleet Intelligence Director, was briefed on the investigation when evidence indicated that Maria's knowledge extended beyond single-unit operations to broader strategic information that could affect fleet security. Morrison's assessment determined that the investigation required elevation to joint service level, involving Army and Air Force counterintelligence personnel who could provide comprehensive background analysis. The joint investigation revealed that Maria Elena Rodriguez had been Staff Sergeant Maria Elena Rodriguez, United States Army Military Intelligence, before her transition to naval contractor status. Her service record included deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan, specialized training in human intelligence collection, and clearance levels that provided access to joint operations planning at the highest classification levels. The discovery that Maria possessed Army rather than Navy background explained her knowledge of SEAL operational protocols while raising new questions about how she had obtained access to classification levels that crossed service boundaries. Her intelligence training had included exposure to special operations planning across multiple services, providing context for her familiarity with naval tactical procedures. The administrative challenge was unprecedented. How to handle someone who possessed legitimate access to classified information but had concealed their background to obtain employment in a position that didn't utilize their qualifications. Maria's case fell into regulatory gaps that weren't addressed by standard security protocols, requiring coordination between military and civilian authorities who had different jurisdictional responsibilities. Commander Matthews faced increasing pressure from senior leadership to resolve the investigation quickly while maintaining operational security that protect both ongoing operations and Maria's potential rights as someone who might have legitimate explanations for their behavior. The complexity of the situation exceeded normal personnel management procedures, requiring legal consultation and policy interpretation at levels that involved Pentagon oversight.
The breakthrough came when surveillance captured Maria's reaction to a false alarm that activated the base emergency notification system during her shift. Instead of following evacuation procedures designed for civilian personnel, she automatically implemented tactical response protocols that included threat assessment, communication procedures, and positioning choices that demonstrated military training. Security cameras recorded her systematic evaluation of potential threats, coordinated movement toward defensive positions, and radio monitoring techniques that exceeded civilian contractor authority. Her behavior during the emergency revealed muscle memory responses that contradicted her official background while validating investigators' assessment of her concealed military experience. The most significant evidence came from her interaction with arriving security forces, where she provided tactical assessments and situational awareness reports using military terminology and communication protocols that civilian personnel wouldn't possess. Her automatic assumption of command responsibilities during crisis conditions demonstrated leadership training that was inconsistent with support staff background. Lieutenant Commander Stone's psychological evaluation concluded that Maria exhibited stress responses consistent with someone maintaining deep cover rather than someone concealing criminal activity. Her behavioral patterns suggested protective rather than aggressive intentions, indicating concern about discovery rather than hostile operational objectives. The evaluation identified Maria as someone who had deliberately assumed civilian identity to escape institutional pressures or personal trauma associated with military service, rather than someone who posed security threats to base operations. Stone's assessment recommended careful handling that could result in positive resolution rather than administrative punishment. Senior Chief Harrison's tactical assessment confirmed that Maria's knowledge and capabilities represented potential operational assets rather than security liabilities. Her demonstrated expertise could enhance base effectiveness if properly utilized, while her systematic concealment suggested personal circumstances that required understanding rather than disciplinary action. The investigation reached a critical decision point when Admiral Morrison determined that direct confrontation was necessary to resolve security questions that couldn't be answered through continued surveillance. The accumulated evidence strongly suggested that Maria possessed legitimate background and clearance history, but institutional protocols required definitive verification before taking action that might affect ongoing operations. Matthews received orders to initiate controlled contact with Maria, designed to provide opportunities for voluntary disclosure while maintaining investigation security. The approach would test her willingness to cooperate with official inquiry while offering pathways for positive resolution that could benefit both her personal situation and base operational effectiveness. The decision to move toward direct confrontation reflected institutional recognition that Maria's case represented broader issues about personnel management, talent utilization, and security procedures that affected military effectiveness throughout the service.
Her individual situation had become a test case for policies that could influence how the military identify and utilize human resources in an era where traditional career paths were increasingly insufficient for operational requirements. As the investigation prepared for its next phase, both Maria and the institutional framework that surrounded her were approaching a confrontation that would determine whether hidden capabilities could be integrated into official structures or whether security concerns would override potential operational benefits. The pressure that had been building through weeks of careful observation was about to culminate in revelations that would transform understanding of service, identity, and the complex relationship between institutional requirements and individual capabilities. The emergency began at 0347 hours on April 15th, with a security breach that transformed Norfolk from a routine training facility into an active combat zone. The base-wide alarm system erupted with the piercing wail that indicated immediate threat level Alpha. Hostile forces confirmed within the perimeter with active engagement authorized. Maria was processing a batch of cold weather gear when the alarm cut through the mechanical hum of washing machines, triggering muscle memory responses that she hadn't experienced since her final deployment to Kandahar 3 years earlier. Her body automatically shifted into threat assessment mode, while her conscious mind struggled to maintain the civilian contractor persona that had protected her for so long. The base-wide announcement crackled through speakers with barely controlled urgency. Security Alert Level Alpha. Unknown hostile forces have breached the northern perimeter. All non-essential personnel report to Building 890 for lockdown procedures. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Commander Matthews was in the Fleet Intelligence Center when the first reports flooded in about a coordinated assault team that had penetrated base defenses using sophisticated tactics, suggesting extensive planning and reconnaissance. Initial intelligence indicated at least 8 hostiles with advanced equipment who had successfully neutralized perimeter sensors and eliminated 2 security posts without triggering immediate alarms. The timing of the attack coincided with a scheduled training exercise that had deployed Norfolk's primary rapid response teams to Quantico, leaving the base with reduced tactical capabilities. Available security forces consisted primarily of base defense personnel with limited experience in counter-assault operations against professional military threats. The tactical situation required specialized expertise that wasn't immediately available through normal channels. The attackers demonstrated coordination and equipment that exceeded typical terrorist capabilities, suggesting state-sponsored training and resources that could overwhelm conventional security responses. Maria remained in the laundry facility despite evacuation orders, her intelligence training automatically analyzing the situation through information fragments available from radio communications and emergency announcements. Her position in the basement levels provided detailed knowledge of facility layouts, utility systems, and potential infiltration routes that would be valuable for tactical planning. More critically, her location placed her in proximity to the base's primary electrical distribution center and communication hub, both of which represented high-value targets for hostile forces seeking to disable Norfolk's operational capabilities. Admiral Morrison coordinated the emergency response from the Fleet Command Center, where tactical displays showed security camera feeds and personnel tracking information that painted an incomplete picture of the developing threat. The assault team had demonstrated capability to avoid or neutralize surveillance systems, creating gaps in situational awareness that hampered response planning. Available intelligence suggested the attackers possessed night vision equipment, encrypted communication systems, and weapons that indicated military-grade training rather than improvised assault capabilities. Their movement patterns showed systematic advance toward critical infrastructure, suggesting objectives that went beyond casualty maximization to operational disruption. Lieutenant Colonel David Parker, commanding officer of the Base Security Battalion, faced impossible tactical decisions with insufficient information and inadequate personnel. The assault teams demonstrated sophistication, suggested they possessed detailed intelligence about Norfolk's defensive capabilities and response procedures, allowing them to time their attack for maximum effectiveness. The Base Communication Center reported that hostile forces were jamming conventional radio frequencies while monitoring security communications through electronic warfare capabilities that suggested advanced technical training. Their ability to disrupt coordination between defensive positions while maintaining their own tactical communications created significant disadvantages for base security forces. Maria monitored the tactical situation through radio equipment that civilian contractors weren't authorized to access, but her technical knowledge allowed her to bypass security protocols without detection. The information she gathered painted a more dire picture than public announcements indicated, revealing coordination problems and resource limitations that could result in catastrophic mission failure.
The assault team consisted of at least 12 operatives with professional military training who had demonstrated capability to neutralize base security measures systematically. Their positioning suggested preparation for multiple simultaneous attacks on targets that could disable Norfolk's ability to function as a fleet support facility. Master Chief Robert Stone coordinated available personnel while requesting emergency reinforcement from regional commands that could provide specialized counter-assault capabilities. The response timeline indicated that qualified tactical units would require a minimum 45 minutes to reach Norfolk and organize effective operations, during which base security would depend on available resources that included maintenance staff, administrative personnel, and civilian contractors with unknown capabilities. The breakthrough in hostile positioning came when security cameras captured movement near the main electrical distribution facility, confirming Maria's analysis about target priorities. The assault team was conducting systematic reconnaissance of critical infrastructure while avoiding areas covered by remaining surveillance systems, demonstrating knowledge of facility layouts that suggested extensive preparation or insider intelligence. The tactical situation escalated when the first direct engagement occurred between base security forces and the assault team near Building 445, resulting in casualties that confirmed hostile forces were equipped with military-grade weapons and willing to engage in sustained combat operations. The engagement revealed tactical coordination and fire discipline that exceeded normal expectations for terrorist or criminal assault teams. Maria faced the critical decision that would define her future when intercepted communications revealed that the assault team was preparing to execute coordinated attacks on both the electrical center and the communication hub within 8 minutes. The attack timeline would occur during a shift change that minimized security coverage at both locations, suggesting detailed knowledge of base operational procedures. Without hesitation, Maria abandoned her contractor station and moved through the basement facility using routes that avoided main corridors and security checkpoints. Her Army intelligence training had included advanced movement techniques for operating in hostile environments, and she applied these skills to navigate base facilities without detection by either security forces or potential hostile surveillance. Her destination was the Fleet Command Center, where she intended to provide tactical intelligence that could prevent catastrophic infrastructure damage. The route required passage through areas that might be under hostile observation, but her knowledge of facility layouts and concealment opportunities allowed her to minimize exposure while maintaining rapid movement toward critical decision-makers. The command center buzzed with controlled chaos as personnel struggled to coordinate response efforts with incomplete information and insufficient tactical resources. Commander Matthews stood at the central tactical display, studying fragmentary reports and security camera feeds that provided inadequate situational awareness for effective defensive planning. His expression reflected the frustration of a commander who understood that conventional responses were insufficient for the current tactical situation. Available security forces were positioned reactively rather than proactively, responding to hostile initiatives rather than controlling engagement terms through superior planning and resource allocation. Maria entered the command center without authorization, her civilian contractor status providing no legitimate reason for presence in a restricted facility during emergency operations. Security personnel moved to escort her out, but she addressed Matthews directly with information that stopped all activity in the room.
Commander, I have actionable intelligence about hostile positioning and attack timeline that requires immediate tactical response. The assault team is equipped with Russian-manufactured electronic warfare systems, coordinating through encrypted tactical radios and preparing to execute simultaneous attacks on targets Delta 7 and Echo 2 in approximately 6 minutes. The words carried authority and precision that contradicted everything Matthews knew about her background. Her linguistic patterns reflected military briefing experience, her posture demonstrated confidence under pressure, and her knowledge of classified target designations suggested training that extended far beyond civilian contractor requirements. Most significantly, her possession of real-time tactical intelligence implied access to information sources that shouldn't have been available to support personnel, including knowledge of Russian equipment specifications and encrypted communication monitoring capabilities that required specialized training and clearance levels. "Ma'am, you need to report to designated lockdown areas immediately," Master Chief Stone responded, moving to physically escort Maria from the command center. "This facility is restricted to essential personnel during combat operations." Maria's response shattered every assumption about her identity while providing information that could determine the outcome of the tactical engagement. "Master Chief, I am former Staff Sergeant Maria Elena Rodriguez, United States Army Military Intelligence with top-secret/SCI clearance and specialized training in electronic warfare and counter-assault operations. I have been monitoring hostile communications through technical access that my background provides, and the tactical situation requires immediate intervention based on intelligence I have gathered." The silence that followed stretched for seconds that felt like hours, as every person in the command center processed information that shouldn't have existed in the mind of a civilian laundry contractor. Her knowledge of classified procedures, technical equipment specifications, and tactical analysis capabilities indicated professional military intelligence background that contradicted her official employment records. Admiral Morrison stepped forward, his command experience automatically assessing Maria's credibility while weighing the tactical implications of her intelligence. "Rodriguez briefed me on hostile capabilities, positioning, and tactical recommendations. Stone, verify her background and clearance status immediately. Matthews, prepare to modify defensive deployment based on intelligence she provides." The orders reflected command recognition that mission success required utilizing available expertise regardless of institutional protocols or administrative complications. The base's survival depended on effective tactical response that could only be achieved through comprehensive intelligence and coordinated defensive operations. Master Chief Stone's background verification took 90 seconds through the classified military personnel database, his fingers flying across the secure terminal as Maria began coordinating tactical responses that would determine Norfolk's survival. The screen displayed information that validated every claim she had made, while revealing a service record that explained her extraordinary capabilities. "Admiral, subject confirmed as former Staff Sergeant Rodriguez, Army Military Intelligence Corps, honorable discharge February 2021, clearance history includes top-secret/SCI with access to Joint Special Operations Planning, combat deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan, specialized training in signals intelligence and electronic warfare countermeasures." Stone's voice carried professional respect as he read credentials that commanded attention in any military environment. Maria's background included commendations for intelligence analysis under combat conditions, training certifications in Russian and Chinese electronic warfare systems, and assignment history that provided exposure to multi-service tactical operations at the highest classification levels. Admiral Morrison's tactical assessment concluded that Maria represented the most qualified intelligence asset immediately available for addressing the current threat. Her combination of electronic warfare expertise and real-time hostile communication monitoring capabilities provided advantages that could transform defensive operations from reactive to proactive engagement.
"Rodriguez, I'm authorizing you temporary reactivation under emergency protocols." Matthews integrates her intelligence assessments into tactical planning. Stone, provide her with secure communication access and current defensive positioning data. The orders reflected command recognition that institutional barriers became irrelevant when base survival required utilizing all available expertise regardless of administrative status or employment classification. Maria's transformation from civilian contractor to tactical intelligence coordinator occurred seamlessly as she assumed responsibilities that felt natural after 3 years of suppressing her professional identity. Her systematic approach to threat analysis and operational planning demonstrated capabilities that had made her valuable during Army service, while providing solutions for defensive challenges that conventional base security couldn't address. The tactical display was updated with information Maria provided through her monitoring of hostile communications, revealing assault team positioning and coordination patterns that enabled defensive forces to establish overlapping fields of fire, preventing hostile movement between targets. Her analysis included timing assessments that allowed security teams to anticipate assault team actions rather than responding to completed movements. Her linguistic capabilities proved essential when she translated intercepted Russian communications that revealed tactical modifications and coordination changes as assault team leaders adapted to unexpected defensive responses. The real-time intelligence allowed base security forces to counter hostile tactical adjustments before they could be implemented effectively. Hostile Team Alpha is repositioning to approach the electrical facility from the southeastern maintenance entrance, Maria reported, monitoring encrypted communications through equipment that her clearance history authorized her to operate. They're discussing backup extraction routes through the storm drainage system, suggesting they have detailed facility plans and contingency protocols. Commander Matthews coordinated the defensive response based on Maria's intelligence while recognizing that her analytical capabilities exceeded those of many active-duty intelligence specialists. Her ability to predict hostile actions through communication intercepts and tactical pattern analysis allowed defensive forces to establish ambush positions that could neutralize threats before they reached critical targets. The electronic warfare countermeasures that Maria recommended proved decisive in degrading hostile coordination capabilities. Her knowledge of Russian communication systems allowed her to identify jamming frequencies that disrupted hostile command and control while maintaining base security communications through protected channels. Implementing frequency sweep protocol on channels 147.3 through 151.7 MHz, Maria announced as she operated electronic warfare equipment with expertise that reflected extensive training. This should force them onto backup systems that we can monitor more effectively. The technical superiority that had enabled the assault team's initial success was systematically neutralized through countermeasures that Maria's expertise made possible. Hostile forces found their encrypted communications jammed at critical frequencies, forcing reliance on less secure backup systems that base personnel could intercept and exploit for tactical advantage. The first major tactical success occurred when Maria's analysis of hostile communication patterns allowed security forces to intercept Team Alpha's advance toward the electrical facility. Her prediction of their approach route and timing enabled Master Chief Stone to position defensive personnel who captured 3 assault team members while recovering equipment that provided additional intelligence about overall attack planning. Team Bravo's assault on the communication hub was prevented through coordinated defensive operations that utilized Maria's real-time intelligence about hostile positioning and tactical intentions. Her ability to monitor their coordination calls allowed security forces to establish defensive positions that disrupted hostile timing while maintaining protection for critical infrastructure. The most significant operational success came when Maria identified the assault team's extraction protocols through intercepted communications, allowing base security forces to close escape routes while preventing hostile forces from withdrawing after completing their attacks. Her tactical assessment enabled comprehensive containment that eliminated hostile operational flexibility. Base security, hostile extraction is planned through Checkpoint Delta using modified utility vehicles positioned in parking area. Maria coordinated, recommend immediate interdiction to prevent organized withdrawal. The capture of the extraction team eliminated hostile escape capabilities while providing intelligence about external support networks that had enabled the infiltration operation. Maria's analysis of recovered equipment revealed coordination with international terrorist organizations that posed broader threats to regional security.
Lieutenant Colonel Parker's assessment of the tactical outcome reflected professional appreciation for intelligence capabilities that had transformed potential disaster into operational success. Rodriguez, your analysis and tactical coordination prevented infrastructure damage that could have affected Atlantic Fleet operations for months while achieving complete mission success with minimal casualties. The successful defense of Norfolk demonstrated that sophisticated assault operations could be defeated through superior intelligence and coordinated response that utilized available resources effectively. Maria's expertise had provided force multiplication that allowed conventional security personnel to achieve tactical superiority against professional military threats. Admiral Morrison's immediate assessment concluded that Maria's intervention had prevented catastrophic damage to fleet support capabilities while demonstrating analytical competence that warranted immediate consideration for return to active duty service. Her performance under pressure validated her background credentials while highlighting institutional failures that had prevented recognition of her capabilities during civilian employment. The base-wide announcement at 0521 hours declared the security threat neutralized, with all hostile personnel either captured or eliminated. The successful defense of critical infrastructure had been achieved through tactical operations that utilized Maria's intelligence expertise to coordinate effective responses exceeding normal base security capabilities. The captured assault team members provided additional intelligence that confirmed the accuracy of Maria's tactical assessments while revealing international connections that required broader investigation. Her analytical work during the emergency became foundation material for counterterrorism operations that would prevent similar attacks against other military installations. Master Chief Stone's tactical debrief emphasized the decisive impact that qualified intelligence analysis had provided for defensive operations. Rodriguez's capability to monitor hostile communications, analyze tactical patterns, and recommend effective countermeasures transformed available base resources into defensive capabilities that exceeded hostile planning assumptions. The equipment and documentation recovered from captured assault team members validated Maria's initial assessments about their training, capabilities, and objectives. Her real-time analysis had enabled tactical responses that achieved complete mission success while providing intelligence that would enhance future security operations. Commander Matthews's personal assessment reflected recognition that Maria's concealed capabilities represented exactly the kind of expertise that military operations required, but institutional frameworks often fail to identify. Her willingness to reveal her background during crisis conditions demonstrated commitment to mission success that transcended personal security concerns. The psychological transformation that Maria experienced was profound as she engaged her full professional capabilities for the first time in 3 years. The intellectual satisfaction of applying analytical skills to tactical problems provided validation that her career transition had been motivated by personal circumstances rather than professional inadequacy. Her technical competence during electronic warfare operations demonstrated that specialized training remained current despite her civilian employment, while her tactical coordination abilities showed leadership potential that extended beyond analytical functions to operational command responsibilities.
The immediate administrative challenge involved integrating Maria's demonstrated capabilities into official recognition that could provide appropriate assignment and compensation. Her emergency reactivation required formal documentation that acknowledged both her civilian contractor status and her revealed military background. The broader institutional implications included recognition that qualified personnel might exist throughout the military support structure in positions that failed to utilize their capabilities effectively. Maria's case demonstrated that traditional personnel management approaches could result in systematic underutilization of human resources that affected operational readiness. As Norfolk returned to normal security posture, Maria faced decisions about her future that would determine whether her revealed capabilities could be integrated into official service or whether institutional constraints would force her to choose between professional fulfillment and personal security considerations that had motivated her original career transition. The crisis had forced recognition of her true identity while demonstrating that her expertise could provide decisive advantages for military operations.
The challenge now involved determining whether institutional structures could accommodate someone whose background and capabilities challenged conventional assumptions about personnel classification and career progression. The formal debriefing began 6 hours after the tactical operation concluded, held in Admiral Morrison's conference room with representatives from Atlantic Fleet Command, Joint Chiefs Intelligence, and Department of Defense Personnel Security. Maria sat across from a panel of senior officers whose combined experience spanned decades of military service, each grappling with implications that extended far beyond individual personnel management. Captain Jennifer Walsh, Pacific Fleet Personnel Director, had flown overnight from San Diego specifically to conduct Maria's case review. Her 28 years of naval service included extensive experience with unusual personnel situations, but nothing had prepared her for evaluating circumstances where a civilian contractor had provided intelligence analysis that prevented catastrophic infrastructure damage. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez, your service record indicates exemplary performance during Army assignments, including 2 combat deployments and specialized training that clearly qualified you for the intelligence work you performed during yesterday's emergency. Help us understand the circumstances that led to your transition from active duty service to civilian contractor employment. Maria's response reflected personal growth that had occurred during her 3 years of civilian employment, combined with professional clarity about her motivations and career objectives. The experience of serving military personnel directly through support functions had provided perspectives that enhanced rather than diminished her value as an intelligence specialist. Captain, my decision to leave active duty was based on personal circumstances following my final deployment to Afghanistan, where intelligence failures resulted in casualties among personnel whose operations I had helped plan. The responsibility for tactical decisions made in secure briefing rooms felt disconnected from human consequences of operational planning, and I needed time to process that disconnect while finding ways to serve that felt more directly connected to personnel welfare. Her explanation revealed psychological complexity that senior officers recognized as characteristic of highly capable personnel who had experienced combat stress reactions, manifesting as career decisions rather than medical symptoms. The Army had lost a promising intelligence specialist, but Maria had gained something equally valuable, understanding of military service from support perspectives that informed her analytical work. The formal inquiry that followed focused on institutional improvements rather than individual accountability, recognizing that Maria's case represented systemic opportunities for enhancement rather than violations requiring punishment. The questions addressed how military services could better identify and utilize capabilities among all personnel regardless of their official job classifications. General Robert Harrison, Joint Chiefs Personnel Director, conducted the strategic assessment that would influence policies throughout the Department of Defense. His analysis identified patterns of talent misallocation that affected military readiness across multiple commands and service branches, representing millions of dollars in underutilized human resources. The comprehensive review that your case has prompted reveals similar situations throughout all services, where personnel with exceptional qualifications are serving in positions that fail to utilize their full capabilities. The financial implications alone justify systematic changes to identification and assignment procedures. The academic examination that followed included presentations at the Naval War College, Army Command and General Staff College, and Air Force Air University, where senior officers analyzed factors leading to systematic underutilization of qualified personnel. Maria's transformation became required study material for military leadership courses addressing talent optimization and institutional flexibility. Her new assignment as Senior Intelligence Analyst for Atlantic Fleet Joint Operations reflected institutional commitment to utilizing her proven capabilities while providing opportunities for professional growth that her background warranted. The position combined tactical intelligence expertise with operational support experience, making her ideally qualified for coordinating between special operations units and support commands. The training program that Maria developed for identifying hidden capabilities among military personnel became a model adopted throughout the intelligence community. Her systematic approach to capability assessment drew on lessons learned from her own experience while incorporating psychological insights about why qualified individuals might conceal their backgrounds or understate their abilities. The program's success in identifying previously unknown expertise among existing personnel validated investment in comprehensive talent optimization initiatives that enhanced operational effectiveness while improving career satisfaction among personnel whose capabilities had been systematically underutilized. The international recognition that Maria received included requests from allied nations for briefings about her analytical methodologies and tactical coordination procedures. Her work during the Norfolk incident had demonstrated innovative approaches to electronic warfare and real-time threat assessment that enhanced counterterrorism capabilities beyond traditional intelligence gathering protocols. NATO intelligence conferences featured her presentations about integrating support personnel perspectives into operational planning, emphasizing that effective military operations required comprehensive utilization of all available human resources rather than rigid adherence to traditional role classifications. The memorial service for the two security personnel who had been wounded during the assault included special recognition of Maria's role in preventing additional casualties through her intelligence contributions. The families of the wounded expressed gratitude for her actions, understanding that her analytical work had enabled tactical responses that minimized harm to military personnel while neutralizing hostile threats. The personal connection between her technical expertise and human outcomes provided emotional validation for her career choices, while demonstrating that intelligence work could serve protective rather than purely analytical functions. Janet Patterson's professional development as Maria's former supervisor included training in recognizing indicators of hidden capabilities among contractor personnel. Her experience managing someone whose qualifications far exceeded their official position became foundation material for supervisor education programs addressing talent identification and development. Patterson's testimony at personnel management conferences emphasized the importance of creating environments where exceptional capabilities could be identified and utilized regardless of official job classifications, while maintaining security protocols that protect sensitive operations. The base efficiency improvements that resulted from Maria's recommendations during her contractor employment were formally implemented throughout Atlantic Fleet facilities. Her systematic approaches to equipment care, processing optimization, and organizational effectiveness had enhanced operational readiness while reducing costs through better resource utilization. The documentation she provided about these improvements became standard reference material for facility management training, demonstrating that innovative solutions could emerge from personnel who understood operational requirements from multiple perspectives.
The scholarship foundation that Maria established provided educational opportunities for military personnel seeking advanced training in intelligence analysis and electronic warfare. The foundation reflected her commitment to developing expertise that could enhance national security while honoring service members who had been affected by intelligence failures throughout military history. The scholarships enabled dozens of qualified individuals to pursue specialized training that enhanced their contributions to operational success while providing career advancement opportunities that might not have been available through traditional military education programs. The policy modifications that resulted from Maria's case included enhanced screening procedures for identifying relevant experience among contractor personnel, recognition protocols for utilizing hidden capabilities during emergency situations, and career transition programs that could retain expertise within military support structures. The changes influenced personnel management at the highest levels of military leadership, creating lasting improvements that would benefit future generations of service members while optimizing utilization of available human resources. The documentary production that chronicled Maria's transformation was distributed throughout the Department of Defense as educational material for leadership training programs. The film emphasized lessons about institutional flexibility, talent recognition, and the importance of creating environments where exceptional capabilities could be identified and utilized when circumstances demanded.
The production became required viewing for senior officers attending professional development courses, generating discussions about leadership responsibilities and organizational effectiveness that influenced military culture at multiple levels. The private sector consulting work that Maria accepted during her off-duty hours provided intelligence analysis services for corporations dealing with international security challenges. Her expertise in electronic warfare and threat assessment proved valuable for protecting commercial operations while maintaining clearance levels that enabled continued military service. The consulting work demonstrated that her capabilities could enhance both military and civilian security while providing additional income that supported her philanthropic activities and professional development initiatives. The keynote address that Maria delivered at the annual Military Intelligence Conference received standing ovations from audiences who recognized her journey from hidden potential to recognized expertise. Her speech emphasized that military effectiveness depended on optimizing all available resources, including human talent that might be concealed by institutional barriers or personal circumstances. The address generated policy discussions at the highest levels of military leadership, while inspiring personnel throughout all services to pursue full utilization of their capabilities in service to national security objectives. The research project that Maria initiated examined patterns of personnel underutilization throughout all military services, identifying systemic factors that prevented optimal talent allocation while recommending policy modifications that could enhance operational effectiveness through better human resource management. Her findings influenced personnel policies at the Pentagon level, creating changes that would optimize military effectiveness while providing career satisfaction for personnel whose capabilities had been systematically underutilized by traditional institutional frameworks. The classified assessment that concluded Maria's case determined that her intervention during the Norfolk incident had prevented infrastructure damage that could have affected Atlantic Fleet operations for months while demonstrating analytical capabilities that exceeded many active-duty intelligence specialists. The strategic value of her contributions justified immediate consideration for advanced assignments that could utilize her expertise while providing leadership opportunities that reflected her proven capabilities under pressure. The transformation of institutional attitudes represented the most significant long-term impact of Maria's case, as military leadership implemented procedures for identifying hidden capabilities among all personnel. The cultural shift toward capability recognition rather than role limitation created opportunities for multiple individuals whose potential had been constrained by institutional frameworks. The legacy of Maria's courage to act beyond institutional boundaries continues to inspire military personnel who recognize that their greatest service might require transcending limitations that others place on their potential. Her story demonstrates that true leadership sometimes means stepping forward when no one expects you to possess the capabilities that the mission demands, while remembering that the most valuable contributions often come from unexpected sources who have the courage to reveal their true potential when service to others requires their best efforts. The congressional hearing that convened 3 months later brought Maria's case before the House Armed Services Committee, where representatives questioned senior military leadership about systemic issues in personnel management that her experience had revealed. Congressman Michael Thompson of Virginia, whose district included Norfolk, led inquiries about how many other qualified individuals might be serving in positions that underutilized their capabilities. Congressman Thompson's questions reflected broader concerns about efficiency and readiness that resonated with budget-conscious legislators. The testimony that Maria provided to Congress emphasized institutional solutions rather than individual recognition, focusing on policy recommendations that could enhance military effectiveness while providing career satisfaction for personnel whose backgrounds might not align with traditional assignment procedures. Her appearance before the committee demonstrated communication skills that complemented her analytical capabilities. The Veterans Affairs collaboration that emerged from her case included programs designed to retain military expertise within support structures when active duty service became impractical due to personal circumstances. The initiative recognized that valuable experience could be preserved through civilian employment that maintained connection to military operations while accommodating individual needs. Maria's role as program coordinator allowed her to counsel other veterans who were transitioning between active duty and civilian support roles, providing guidance based on her unique experience navigating both institutional frameworks. The program's success in retaining qualified personnel while reducing recruitment costs validated investment in flexible career transition options. The technology integration project that Maria led involved implementing electronic warfare countermeasures throughout Atlantic Fleet facilities, drawing on her expertise gained during the Norfolk incident. The systematic approach to defensive capabilities that she developed enhanced security while providing training opportunities for personnel who needed specialized technical knowledge. The project's success led to expansion throughout all naval installations, creating a network of defensive capabilities that could respond to sophisticated electronic warfare threats. Maria's leadership of the implementation demonstrated project management skills that complemented her technical expertise while providing advancement opportunities within her intelligence career. The international exchange program that she participated in included assignments with British and Australian intelligence services, where her experience with institutional adaptation provided valuable perspectives for allied military organizations facing similar personnel utilization challenges. The cultural exchange enhanced her analytical capabilities while building relationships that supported international cooperation. Her presentations at joint intelligence conferences emphasized practical solutions for identifying hidden talent while maintaining security protocols that protected sensitive operations. The international recognition of her expertise created opportunities for continued professional development that enhanced her value as an intelligence specialist. The mentorship network that Maria established connected military personnel who possessed capabilities that exceeded their current assignments with leadership opportunities that could utilize their full potential. The network operated informally but effectively, creating pathways for advancement that might not have been available through traditional institutional channels.
The success stories that emerged from her mentorship included promotions, specialized assignments, and career transitions that demonstrated the value of systematic talent identification and development. The network's growth throughout all military services validated her approach to capability recognition while providing models for institutional adoption. The research publication that documented her analytical methodologies became standard reference material for intelligence training programs throughout the military education system. The academic recognition of her work provided intellectual validation while contributing to professional knowledge that enhanced operational effectiveness across multiple commands. The citation impact of her publications influenced doctrine development and training procedures that improved intelligence capabilities throughout the Department of Defense. Her scholarly contributions demonstrated that operational experience could inform academic understanding while providing practical solutions for complex analytical challenges. The industrial partnership that Maria facilitated between military intelligence and civilian technology companies resulted in improved equipment and training programs that enhanced electronic warfare capabilities. Her unique perspective as someone who had worked in both military and civilian environments enabled effective coordination between organizations with different cultures and objectives. The partnerships generated technological innovations that provided tactical advantages while creating cost savings through shared research and development initiatives. Maria's role as liaison demonstrated diplomatic skills that complemented her technical expertise while contributing to national security objectives through private sector collaboration. The family impact of Maria's transformation included reconciliation with relatives who had been concerned about her career transition and personal adjustment following her military service. Her professional success and personal fulfillment provided evidence that her decision to leave active duty had led to positive outcomes despite initial uncertainty. The family support that she received enabled her to pursue demanding professional responsibilities while maintaining personal relationships that provided emotional stability during challenging career transitions. The balance between professional achievement and personal satisfaction demonstrated that military service could take multiple forms while contributing to national security objectives.
The community involvement that Maria pursued included volunteer work with veteran organizations, educational programs for military families, and civic activities that connected her military experience with broader social contributions. Her public service extended beyond professional responsibilities to include personal commitment to community welfare. The recognition that she received from civilian organizations complemented her military commendations while demonstrating the broader impact of her service on society beyond defense-specific contributions. Her community involvement provided outlets for leadership skills while building relationships that enhanced her effectiveness in both military and civilian contexts. The book project that Maria began documenting her experience focused on practical guidance for military personnel and institutions facing similar challenges with talent identification and utilization. The manuscript emphasized actionable recommendations rather than personal narrative, providing tools that could be applied throughout military organizations. The publishing interest that her story generated reflected public fascination with military service, while providing educational opportunities for civilian audiences who might not understand the complexity of modern military operations. Her writing demonstrated communication skills that could bridge military and civilian perspectives while promoting understanding of defense requirements. The speaking engagements that followed her recognition included universities, corporate conferences, and professional associations where her experience provided insights about leadership, institutional change, and personal development. The diversity of audiences demonstrated the broad applicability of lessons learned from her military service and career transition. The consulting opportunities that emerged from her speaking engagements included advising organizations about talent management, crisis response, and institutional adaptation. Her expertise proved valuable for both military and civilian clients who faced similar challenges with resource optimization and personnel development. The philanthropic activities that Maria supported included scholarships for military children, support programs for veteran families, and educational initiatives that promoted understanding of military service among civilian populations. Her charitable work reflected commitment to service that extended beyond professional responsibilities to community welfare. The foundation work that she led generated resources for programs that might not have received government funding while providing leadership opportunities that utilized her organizational skills. The success of her philanthropic initiatives demonstrated that military training could contribute to civilian society through volunteer service and community leadership. The cybersecurity initiative that Maria spearheaded 5 years after the Norfolk incident represented the evolution of her expertise into emerging technological domains. As cyber warfare became increasingly sophisticated, her electronic warfare background provided unique insights for developing defensive strategies that protected military communications and critical infrastructure from advanced persistent threats. The joint task force that she commanded included personnel from all military services, federal agencies, and private sector partners who brought diverse perspectives to complex security challenges. Her leadership style reflected lessons learned from her own experience with hidden potential, creating environments where team members could contribute their full capabilities regardless of their official titles or traditional role limitations. The artificial intelligence project that emerged from her cybersecurity work involved developing machine learning algorithms that could identify patterns in electronic communications similar to the human analysis she had performed during crisis situations. The AI system enhanced intelligence gathering capabilities while reducing the time required for threat assessment and response coordination. The patent applications that resulted from her technological innovations provided intellectual property that enhanced national security while generating revenue that supported continued research and development. Her transition from intelligence analyst to technology innovator demonstrated career flexibility that maximized her contributions to military effectiveness across multiple domains. The university partnerships that Maria established created pathways for academic research that addressed real-world military challenges while providing educational opportunities for students interested in defense-related careers. The collaborations bridged gaps between theoretical knowledge and practical application that enhanced both academic understanding and operational effectiveness. The alumni network that emerged from the program included military officers, federal agents, and private sector partners who maintained connections that facilitated information sharing and career development across organizational boundaries. The network's influence extended throughout the national security community while providing mentorship opportunities for emerging professionals. The crisis simulation exercises that Maria developed tested institutional responses to complex security scenarios that required coordination between multiple agencies and services. The simulations revealed communication gaps, resource allocation problems, and decision-making bottlenecks that could be addressed through training and procedural modifications before real emergencies occurred. The lessons learned from simulation exercises influenced emergency response protocols throughout the Department of Defense while providing training opportunities for personnel who might face similar challenges during actual operations. The systematic approach to crisis preparation enhanced readiness while building confidence among leaders who needed to make critical decisions under pressure.
The Intelligence Fusion Center that Maria established at Norfolk became a model for similar facilities throughout the military, demonstrating how technological capabilities could be integrated with human analysis to enhance threat detection and response coordination. The center's success influenced resource allocation decisions while providing career advancement opportunities for intelligence professionals. The automated threat detection systems that the center deployed reduced response times while improving accuracy through machine learning algorithms that could process vast amounts of data more efficiently than human analysts alone. The technology integration enhanced rather than replaced human judgment while providing tools that maximized analytical effectiveness. The professional association that Maria founded brought together intelligence professionals from military, federal, and private sector organizations who shared common interests in advancing analytical methodologies and technological capabilities. The association provided networking opportunities while facilitating knowledge sharing that enhanced overall community effectiveness. The annual conference that the association sponsored became a premier venue for presenting research, sharing best practices, and building relationships that supported collaboration across organizational boundaries. The conference's growth demonstrated demand for professional development opportunities while providing platforms for emerging leaders to gain recognition and influence. The ethical framework that Maria developed for artificial intelligence applications in intelligence analysis addressed concerns about automation bias, privacy protection, and accountability that emerged as technology became more sophisticated. Her guidelines influenced policy development while ensuring that technological advancement served rather than compromised democratic values and individual rights. The international standards that emerged from her ethical work provided frameworks for cooperation between allied nations while maintaining security protocols that protected sensitive information. The standards facilitated information sharing while preserving national sovereignty and operational security requirements that each country needed to maintain. The retirement planning that Maria began reflected recognition that her military and civilian career success had provided financial security while creating opportunities for continued service through volunteer activities and consulting work. Her transition strategy emphasized gradual reduction of operational responsibilities while maintaining advisory roles that utilized her experience and expertise. The legacy planning that accompanied her retirement preparations included establishing endowments for educational programs, creating succession plans for her professional responsibilities, and documenting institutional knowledge that could benefit future generations of military personnel. Her systematic approach to knowledge transfer ensured continuity while providing resources for continued innovation. The historical documentation project that Maria initiated involved recording oral histories from military personnel who had experienced similar career transitions, hidden potential recognition, and institutional adaptation challenges. The project preserved individual experiences while identifying patterns that could inform policy development and organizational improvement initiatives. The archive that resulted from the documentation project became a resource for researchers, policymakers, and military leaders who needed to understand how institutional change occurred and how individual contributions influenced organizational effectiveness. The historical perspective provided context for contemporary challenges while preserving knowledge that might otherwise be lost.
The cultural impact assessment that Maria conducted examined how her experience and subsequent policy changes had influenced military attitudes toward talent identification, career flexibility, and institutional adaptation. The assessment revealed positive changes in organizational culture while identifying areas where continued improvement was needed to maximize human potential utilization. The generational analysis that accompanied the cultural assessment showed that younger military personnel were more likely to expect career flexibility and recognition of diverse capabilities, suggesting that institutional changes initiated by her case had influenced broader expectations about military service and professional development opportunities. The innovation laboratory that Maria established during her final years of active service provided experimental space for testing new approaches to intelligence analysis, electronic warfare, and cybersecurity that could enhance military effectiveness while reducing costs through improved efficiency and technological integration. The startup companies that emerged from laboratory research created commercial applications for military technologies while providing career opportunities for transitioning military personnel who possess technical expertise that could contribute to private sector innovation. The entrepreneurial ecosystem that developed around the laboratory demonstrated economic benefits of military research and development investment. The venture capital fund that Maria co-founded specialized in supporting companies founded by military veterans who were developing technologies with defense applications. The fund provided capital and mentorship that helped veteran entrepreneurs succeed while creating innovations that enhanced national security capabilities through private sector development. The board positions that she accepted with technology companies provided oversight that ensured ethical development and responsible application of artificial intelligence and cybersecurity technologies. Her influence helped establish industry standards that balanced innovation with security requirements while protecting democratic values and individual privacy rights. The final assessment of Maria's career impact revealed transformations that extended far beyond individual recognition to include institutional changes, policy modifications, technological innovations, and cultural shifts that enhanced military effectiveness while providing models for talent utilization that could be applied throughout society. Her enduring message that her complete experience provides for future generations emphasizes that excellence can emerge from unexpected circumstances, that institutional barriers often prevent rather than promote optimal performance, that individual courage to reveal capabilities when needed can transform entire organizations, and that the greatest strength of any institution lies in recognizing, developing, and utilizing the complete spectrum of human potential that exists within its ranks, regardless of official titles, traditional roles, or conventional expectations about what individuals can accomplish when given opportunities to serve at their highest capacity.